The knock shattered the silence like a wave crashing against jagged rocks. Elias Thorne froze mid-sip of his black coffee, the mug trembling in his hand as steam curled up like ghosts from his past. "Elias?" The voice on the other side rasped, deep and familiar in a way that clawed at the edges of his memory. "It's Wyatt. Wyatt Hale. We made a pact, remember? The one that was supposed to change everything." Elias's heart slammed against his ribs, coffee spilling hot across his knuckles, burning but unfelt. He hadn't heard that name in 25 years, not since the summer dust of Ridge Valley choked the air and two boys, scared and electric, swore an oath beneath the sprawling arms of the old pecan tree. The door creaked open on its own weight, and there he stood, Wyatt Hale, broader now, shoulders like carved oak under a worn leather jacket, his olive skin tanned deeper by years under California sun, dark hair streaked with silver at the temples, eyes the color of storm-tossed kelp holding a gaze that pinned Elias in place. Time hadn't erased the scar above his left brow, the one from that reckless bike crash they'd laughed off as kids, but it had sharpened the lines of his jaw, made him look like a man who'd walked through fire and come out forged. "What the hell are you doing here?" Elias managed, his voice cracking like dry earth, stepping back into the dim hallway of his clapboard house in Haven Point, Maine. The town clung to the Atlantic like a forgotten promise, all salt spray and lobster traps, where winters buried secrets under feet of snow. He'd come here after college, fleeing the ghosts of Texas, building a life as a carpenter fixing other people's broken things, while his own splintered quietly inside. Wyatt didn't move, his boots planted on the weathered porch as if rooting himself to the spot. Rain pattered down from the slate-gray sky, soaking the shoulders of his jacket, but he seemed oblivious, his focus laser-sharp on Elias. "I drove 3,000 miles for this. For you. That pact wasn't kid stuff, Elias. It was real. Blood real. You carved our initials into that tree. Said we'd find each other no matter what. Well, here I am." Elias's mind reeled, fragments of memory surfacing like debris in a riptide. The summer of '98, Ridge Valley's endless fields baking under a merciless sun. His family uprooted from Boston after his dad's mill job vanished. He'd been 12, awkward and angry, hiding his confusion about the way his chest tightened around certain boys in the schoolyard. Then Wyatt Hale crashed into his world. 13, cocky, with a laugh that echoed like thunder and hands that felt safe when they brushed against his during stolen moments behind the bleachers. They weren't like the other kids, not really. Whispers followed them, cruel ones about how close they stood, how their eyes lingered. But under that pecan tree with fireflies winking like conspirators, they'd pricked their thumbs on a pocket knife and pressed them together, pinky swearing to escape one day, to build a life where no one could touch what they felt. "You think I forgot?" Elias whispered, the words tasting like ash. He'd buried it deep, that pact, along with the dreams that followed him into adulthood. Nights where Wyatt's face blurred into lovers who never stayed. Mornings where he woke with an ache he blamed on the cold Maine fog. He dated sparingly, men who came and went like seasonal tides, none daring to ask about the faded photo tucked in his nightstand drawer. Two boys with sunburned grins, arms slung around each other. Wyatt stepped inside then, uninvited but inevitable, the scent of rain and pine soap trailing him like a signature. The door clicked shut, sealing them in the narrow foyer where Elias's tools lay scattered on a side table. Chisels and sandpaper, remnants of a half-finished rocking chair for some tourist's beach rental. "I never forgot," Wyatt said, his voice dropping low, laced with something raw and unguarded. "Not for a second. After you left Ridge Valley that fall, I waited. Wrote letters you never answered. Then life pulled us apart. But 6 months ago I found the knife, the one we used, still in my folks' attic, wrapped in that old comic book. It hit me like a freight train. We're not kids anymore, Elias. We're men with regrets piling up like cordwood. And I'm done running from mine." Elias leaned against the wall, the rough plaster biting into his back, fighting the pull of those eyes. Wyatt had always been the bold one, the spark to his smolder, but now there was a weariness there, a crack in the armor. "Regrets? You got a life out west, Wyatt. Surf shops in Santa Cruz or whatever it is you do now. Why drag up ghosts? This place." He gestured vaguely at the house, the town beyond. "It's quiet, safe. I don't need stirring up." Wyatt's laugh was bitter, short as a snapped twig. "Safe? That's what we called it back then, too. Hiding in the shadows so the town wouldn't beat the sin out of us. But look at you still hiding, Elias. That pact was about freedom, not this half-life." He reached out, fingers brushing Elias's wrist where the coffee stain bloomed red, and the touch ignited something dormant, a spark jumping from skin to soul. Elias jerked away, but not before the heat lingered, a promise of storms to come. They moved to the kitchen, the heart of Elias's small world. Scarred oak table, a single bulb swinging overhead casting long shadows. Wyatt shrugged off his jacket, revealing a faded black tee stretched across his chest, tattoos snaking down one arm, anchors and waves, symbols of a life adrift at sea. Elias poured him coffee, black and scalding, their hands not quite touching as mugs clinked. "Tell me everything," Elias said finally, sinking into a chair, the wood groaning under him. "From the beginning." "Why now?" Wyatt sipped, eyes never leaving Elias's face, as if memorizing the new lines, "The subtle hollows after you gone. I fell apart. Folks noticed. Mom said I was mooning like a lovesick pup. That, he knew, I think. Beat the tar out of me one night, called it tough love. I left at 16, hitched to California, bounced around odd jobs. Fisherman off Monterey, then opened a dive shop in Big Sur. Met people, loved a few, but none stuck because they weren't you. Then last winter, storm took my boat. Nearly drowned me. In the hospital, staring at the ceiling, I realized I'd been waiting my whole life for a sign. That knife was it. I sold the shop, packed the truck, and drove east. Found your name in an old alumni newsletter from Ridge Valley High. Tracked you here, to Haven Point. The name of the town rolled off his tongue like a caress, and Elias felt exposed, as if Wyatt had peeled back the layers he'd so carefully varnished over. Haven Point wasn't much, a cluster of weathered shacks hugging the cliffs, where lobstermen mended pots at dawn and widows like Mrs. Harlow baked pies for the annual Fog Festival. Elias had carved a niche here, respected for his steady hands, but whispered about for his solitary ways. No wife, no kids, just the sea for company. "You drove all that way on a hunch?" Elias asked, voice thick. "What if I'd moved on? What if I had someone?" Wyatt's gaze darkened, a shadow crossing his features. "Do you?" The question hung heavy, unanswered, as thunder grumbled offshore. Elias thought of Marcus, the barista from the Lighthouse Cafe, with his easy smile and tentative kisses that tasted like chamomile tea. They'd been seeing each other for 3 months. Nothing deep, but it was something. A tether against the loneliness. "It's complicated," he evaded, but the lie tasted sour. Wyatt leaned forward, elbows on the table, bridging the space between them. "Life is, Elias, but that pact. It was simple. We promised to choose each other no matter the cost. I crossed an ocean of miles to keep my end. What's yours?" Outside, the rain intensified, drumming the roof like impatient fingers, mirroring the tumult in Elias's chest. He wanted to shove Wyatt out, to slam the door on this intrusion, but the man's presence filled the room like sunlight-piercing fog, warming places long gone cold. "Stay the night," Elias heard himself say, the words slipping out unbidden. "Storms picking up. Roads'll flood." Wyatt's smile was slow, tentative, cracking the tension like dawn light. "I'd like that." As they cleared the mugs, shoulders brushing in the tight space, Elias felt the first fracture in his carefully built walls. The evening unfolded in fits and starts, Wyatt recounting tales of Pacific swells and midnight bonfires, Elias sharing snippets of Maine's relentless winters and the satisfaction of planing would smooth as silk. Laughter came haltingly at first, then freer, echoing off the rafters. But beneath it, undercurrents swirled. Stolen glances, the brush of knees under the table, the weight of unspoken years. Bedtime loomed awkward, Elias offering the spare room with its lumpy mattress and sea-view window. Wyatt paused in the doorway, silhouetted against the hall light. "This feels like coming home," he murmured, and before Elias could respond, he closed the gap, cupping his face with calloused palms. The kiss was tentative, a question posed in the press of lips, tasting of coffee and salt and 25 years of what-ifs. Elias melted into it, hands fisting Wyatt's shirt, pulling him closer until the world narrowed to breath and heartbeat. They broke apart gasping, foreheads touching, the air charged. "Tell me to stop," Wyatt whispered, voice ragged. "Don't," Elias breathed, and in that moment, the pact reignited, a flame long banked but never extinguished. The morning broke gray and sodden, waves snarling against the rocks below Elias's house like accusations. He woke alone in his bed, sheets tangled around his legs, the ghost of Wyatt's touch lingering on his skin. A phantom ache that both soothed and unsettled. The kiss from the night before replayed in fragments. The hesitant press, the surge of heat, the way Wyatt's stubble had rasped against his jaw like sandpaper on fresh pine. Elias pressed a hand to his lips, tasting the echo, and wondered if he dreamed it all, another cruel trick of a mind starved for connection. Downstairs, the kitchen hummed with life. Wyatt stood at the stove, sleeves rolled to his elbows, flipping eggs in a cast-iron skillet scavenged from Elias's cabinets. The sizzle filled the air, mingling with the rich scent of bacon and brewing coffee, domestic and disarming. "Morning," Wyatt said without turning, his voice gravelly from sleep, broad back flexing under the tea as he worked. Sunlight slanted through the salt-crusted window, gilding the edges of his form, making him look almost ethereal, a man conjured from Elias's deepest longings. Elias hovered in the doorway, arms crossed over his chest, the flannel shirt he'd thrown on hanging loose on his frame. "You didn't have to," he said, but there was no conviction in it. The normalcy of the scene, the clink of spatula on pan, the steam rising like whispered secrets, felt like a balm after the storm of the night. Wyatt plated the food with care, two mismatched ceramic dishes piled high, and slid one across the table. "Figured we could use a proper start, after last night." He met Elias's eyes then, steady and searching, the scar above his brow catching the light. There was no regret there, only a quiet intensity that made Elias's pulse stutter. They ate in companionable silence at first, forks scraping, the sea's distant roar underscoring the moment. Haven Point stirred outside, gulls wheeling over the harbor, the faint clang of buoys marking tide. Elias chewed slowly, the eggs fluffy and perfect, a far cry from his usual solitary toast. "So," he ventured finally, setting down his fork, "what now? You show up, kiss me like that, and, what? We pick up where we left off." Wyatt leaned back, chair creaking, his expression turning thoughtful. "I don't know, Elias, but I know I can't go back to pretending. That pact, it wasn't just words. It was us saying we'd fight for this, whatever this is." He reached across, fingers tracing the veins on the back of Elias's hand, a touch light as sea foam but heavy with intent. "Tell me about your life here. The real parts, not the polished ones." Elias hesitated, the vulnerability a jagged edge. He'd built walls in Haven Point, brick by careful brick. The workshop out back where he lost himself in the rhythm of saw and plane. The weekly poker nights at O'Malley's pub where banter flowed easy but never deep. The fleeting affair with Marcus that served more as distraction than devotion. "It's steady," he started, voice low. "Carpentry pays the bills. Folks leave me be, small town, but they got their own burdens. Lost my mom to cancer 5 years back. Dad's in a home up in Portland, fading fast. No siblings, just me." Wyatt's thumb stroked a slow circle on his skin, grounding. "Sounds lonely as hell." "It is," Elias admitted, the confession slipping free like a loosened knot. "After Ridge Valley, I swore I'd never let anyone in like that again. The way we were, it scared me. Folks staring, whispers turning to shouts. When my family packed up, I thought it was a clean break. But the dreams, they followed. You followed. Wyatt's eyes softened, a flicker of pain crossing his features. Same here. California was supposed to be freedom, open roads, beaches where no one cared who you loved. But it was hollow. Dated a guy named Theo for 4 years. Thought it was real. He left when I wouldn't commit. Said I was holding back for someone who'd never show. Turns out he was right. He paused, gaze drifting to the window where fog rolled in thick as regret. That storm last winter? It wasn't just the waves. It was me, finally cracking open. The admission hung between them, raw and resonant, pulling Elias deeper into the current. He turned his hand, lacing fingers with Wyatt's, the fit familiar despite the years. Marcus, he's good people. Works at the cafe. We've been seeing each other, casually. But it's not this. Wyatt's grip tightened fractionally, then released, a shadow passing over his face. You don't owe me explanations. Not yet. But if there's a chance. There is. Elias cut in, surprising himself with the certainty. He stood, drawing Wyatt up with him, and this time the kiss was deliberate, unhurried. A slow burn that tasted of breakfast and beginnings. Wyatt's arms wrapped around his waist, solid and sure, pulling him flush until there was no space for doubt. They lingered there, wrapped in each other, until the world intruded. A truck rumbling down the gravel drive, tires crunching wet stone. Elias pulled back, glancing out the window to see Marcus's battered Ford pulling up, toolbox in the bed. A favor for fixing a loose shutter on the cafe's porch. Shit! Elias muttered, heart sinking. That's him. Wyatt followed his gaze, expression neutral but eyes sharp. Want me to hang back? Elias shook his head, steeling himself. No, this is my mess. Stay. Marcus hopped out, all lanky limbs and freckled grin, waving as he approached with a coil of wire in hand. Mid-20s, with hair the color of wet sand and a laugh that lit rooms. He'd been Elias's quiet harbor these past months. Easy conversations over pie, walks along the bluff where hands brushed without pressure. But now, seeing him through the lens of Wyatt's arrival, it felt fragile, like sea glass on the verge of shattering. Hey, Elias, Marcus called, stomping mud from his boots on the mat. He stepped inside, then froze, eyes widening at the sight of Wyatt leaning against the counter, arms crossed. Oh, company? Elias cleared his throat, heat rising in his cheeks. Marcus, this is Wyatt, old friend from Texas. Wyatt, Marcus, helps out around town. The air thickened, polite smiles masking the undercurrent. Marcus extended a hand, grip firm. Texas, huh? Must be a shock to the system after our endless drizzle. His tone was light, but his eyes flicked to Elias, questioning. Wyatt shook it steadily. Beats the wildfires out west. Elias was just filling me in on Haven Point's charms. They chatted surface level weather, the storm's damage to the pier, while Elias busied himself with coffee refills, tension coiling in his gut. Marcus lingered longer than needed, demonstrating the shutter fix with animated gestures, but his glances grew pointed, the easy rapport strained. When he finally packed up, clapping Elias on the shoulder a beat too long, the words came soft. Call me later, we should talk. The door shut, leaving silence in its wake. Wyatt broke it first, voice even. He's into you. Elias nodded, rubbing his neck. Yeah, and I don't know what I am anymore. Wyatt crossed to him, hands framing his face gently. Then let's find out. Together. The day unfolded in a haze of rediscovery. Wyatt trailing Elias to the workshop, where sawdust danced in sunbeams slanting through salt-glazed panes. Elias showed him the rocking chair, half-formed from maple he'd felled himself, its curves graceful as a lover's hip. Wyatt's fingers traced the wood, appreciative hum low in his throat. Beautiful work, like you always had a gift for shaping what's rough into something whole. Heat bloomed in Elias's chest, words he'd longed to hear from someone who knew the boy behind the man. In turn, Wyatt shared stories of the sea, nights hauling nets under star-pricked skies, the thrill of a rogue wave that tested your soul. Their laughter mingled with the whine of the planer, building a bridge over the chasm of lost time. But as afternoon waned, shadows lengthened, doubts crept in. Elias caught Wyatt staring at an old photo on the mantel. Him at 22, arms around a college fling named Riley, both grinning at a Portland Pride parade. Who was he? Wyatt asked quietly. Gone, Elias said simply. Like so many. Wyatt nodded, but the question lingered unspoken. And what about us? Are we just another ghost? Evening brought them to O'Malley's, the pub's neon sign flickering like a hesitant heartbeat against the dusk. Haven Point's heart pulsed here, fishermen nursing pints, locals swapping tales of the big catch. Elias led Wyatt inside, the bell tinkling overhead, warmth enveloping them in hops and hearth smoke. Heads turned subtly. New faces drew eyes in a town this tight-knit. They claimed a corner booth, knees knocking under scarred oak, orders of clam chowder and IPAs steaming between them. Conversation flowed deeper now, lubricated by ale. Wyatt confessing the bar fights in his 20s, the shame of a one-night stand that ended in tears. Elias admitting the panic attacks after his mom's funeral, nights walking the bluffs contemplating the drop. Vulnerability wove them tighter, each revelation a thread pulling taut. Then Marcus walked in, spotting them immediately. He approached with a pint in hand, sliding into the booth uninvited. Mind if I join? Slow night at the cafe. His smile was tight, eyes darting between them. Wyatt shifted, gracious but guarded. Plenty of room. The trio talked, but undercurrents swirled. Marcus probing Wyatt's intentions with veiled barbs. Texas boy chasing Maine ghosts? Wyatt deflecting with charm. Elias mediating with forced laughs. When Marcus leaned in, whispering to Elias about a late-night bonfire, the air crackled. Wyatt excused himself to the bar, leaving Elias to navigate the minefield. He's intense, Marcus said, brow furrowed. What's the story? Old history, Elias replied, evasive. Complicated. Marcus's hand covered his, warm and familiar. We all have that. But don't ghost me, okay? I care. Guilt twisted like a lathe blade. Elias nodded, but his eyes tracked Wyatt across the room, where he stood chatting with old salts, his laugh carrying like a buoy light. When Wyatt returned, the booth felt smaller, the space between him and Elias charged with unspoken claims. They left together, Marcus's goodbye lingering too long, a brush of lips against Elias's cheek that felt like a brand. Outside, fog cloaked the streets, muffling footsteps. Wyatt walked close, shoulders touching. You okay? Elias exhaled, the weight pressing. Yeah, just, this town's small. People talk. Let them, Wyatt said fiercely, stopping to face him under a street lamp's glow. We're not hiding anymore. Their kiss there, public and defiant, tasted of rebellion. Lips fierce, hands clutching coats against the chill. A car slowed, headlights sweeping past, but neither pulled away. In that moment, Haven Point faded. It was just them, Pact renewed under indifferent stars. Back home, they tumbled into bed, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies rediscovering rhythms long forgotten. Wyatt's touch was reverent, mapping scars and freckles with lips and fingers, drawing gasps from Elias that echoed off the beams. I've dreamed of this, Wyatt murmured against his throat, voice breaking. Every damn night. Elias arched into him, whispering back, Me too. Dawn found them entwined, breaths sinking like tides, the world outside holding its breath. But peace, Elias learned, was as fleeting as a fair-weather squall in these parts. The third day dawned brittle, sunlight slicing through curtains like accusations, illuminating the disarray of their night. Rumpled sheets, Wyatt's jacket slung over a chair, the faint musk of them lingering in the air. Elias slipped from bed while Wyatt slept, his face slack in repose, lashes fanned dark against olive skin. A vulnerability that tugged at Elias's chest, making him want to shield this man from the world's sharp edges. In the kitchen, coffee brewed strong, Elias stared at his phone, thumb hovering over Marcus's unanswered text. Bonfire tonight? Miss your face. Guilt gnawed. A carpenter's rasp on unfinished wood. He'd meant to call to ease the hurt, but words failed against the tidal pull of Wyatt. Now, with the man himself stirring upstairs, bed creaking, footsteps padding down, the delay felt like betrayal. Wyatt appeared in the doorway, hair sleep-tousled, wearing nothing but boxers that hugged his hips, tattoos vivid in the morning light. Smells like heaven, he said, voice husky, crossing to wrap arms around Elias from behind, chin resting on his shoulder. The embrace was easy, intimate, but Elias stiffened imperceptibly, the phone burning in his pocket. Made enough for two, Elias replied, twisting to hand him a mug, their fingers brushing. A spark that should have ignited but fizzled against his unease. Wyatt sipped, eyes narrowing over the rim. Something wrong. Elias busied himself with toast, butter knife scraping. Just thinking, Marcus, he's not gonna let this slide easy. And the town. Eyes everywhere. Wyatt set the mug down, turning Elias to face him fully. Then we face it. Together. Or is that not what you want? The question landed like a mallet blow, cracking the facade. Elias's jaw tightened, old fears surfacing. The Ridge Valley taunts, fairy boys, that had driven him inward, the college nights nursing bruises from a homophobic roommate, the endless cycle of half-hearted connections that left him hollow. I want this, he said, voice fierce. You. But it's not simple. Not after all this time. Wyatt's expression softened, but resolve hardened his gaze. Nothing worth it is. Remember the tree? We carved hail and thorn forever right into the bark. Defiant as hell. That's us. Elias nodded, leaning into the kiss Wyatt offered. Soft at first, then deepening, an anchor in the churn. But as they broke apart, the phone buzzed, Marcus's name flashing. Elias silenced it, but the damage was done. Wyatt's eyes flicked to the screen, a shadow crossing his features. They spent the morning in the workshop, seeking solace in labor. Elias guided Wyatt's hands on the lathe, turning chair legs with patient strokes, the wood yielding under pressure. Wyatt's focus was intense, brows furrowed, sweat beading on his brow, a mirror to Elias's own absorption. Like riding a wave, Wyatt grunted, shavings curling at their feet like golden waves. Find the rhythm, let it carry you. By noon, the piece took shape, smooth and promising, much like them. Lunch was sandwiches on the porch, legs tangled under the railing, overlooking the harbor where boats bobbed like forgotten thoughts. Wyatt shared more fragments. A letter he'd written at 18, mailed to Elias's Boston address but returned unopened. The tattoo he'd gotten in a San Diego parlor, an oak leaf intertwined with a maple sprig. Our tree, he'd explained, voice thick. Elias traced it with fingertips, marveling at the permanence, the quiet devotion. Afternoon brought them to the Bluff Trail, a winding path etched into cliffs where wild roses tangled with thrift. Wind whipped off the Atlantic, carrying brine and the faint cry of seals. They walked hand in hand at first, then arms around waists, the contact a quiet rebellion. Haven Point unfolded below, steeples piercing fog, the lighthouse beam sweeping like a searching eye. Beautiful? Wyatt breathed, stopping to pull Elias close, lips brushing his temple. It is, Elias agreed, but his mind wandered to Marcus, to the inevitable collision. As if summoned, his phone vibrated again, a voicemail this time. He played it discreetly. Marcus's voice, edged with hurt. Elias saw you two at O'Malley's. If he's what you want, fine. But don't string me along. Call me. Wyatt caught the tail end, face paling. He's right. We can't. Stop, Elias snapped, sharper than intended. This isn't about him. It's us. The Pact. Wyatt's eyes searched his, doubt flickering. Is it? Or are you scared, Elias? Like back then, when you vanished without a word. The accusation stung, true as a fresh splinter. Elias whirled away, stalking along the path, boots crunching gravel. You think I wanted to leave? Dad got the job offer, said it was now or never. I begged to stay, but they wouldn't hear it. And the letters. Mom screened the mail, tossed anything improper. I didn't know. Wyatt caught up, grabbing his arm gently. I get that, but it gutted me. Woke up every day waiting for you to fight back, to show up like you promised. Tears pricked Elias's eyes, wind blurring them. I was a kid, Wyatt, scared shitless. Still am, sometimes. They stood there, breaths mingling, the sea crashing below like unresolved fury. Wyatt pulled him into an embrace, fierce and forgiving. Then we'll be scared together. The truce held through evening. Dinner, a shared pot of chowder simmered with clams from the market, eaten by candlelight as power flickered from lingering storm damage. Conversation turned lighter, Wyatt mimicking California surfers, Elias recounting a disastrous attempt at ice fishing, but undercurrents simmered. Bed called early, bodies seeking reaffirmation in tangled limbs and whispered endearments. Wyatt's name a mantra on Elias's lips. Sleep came fitful, dreams weaving pact and peril. The pecan tree ablaze, Wyatt's hand slipping from his. He woke to Wyatt gone from bed, moonlight silvering the floor. Downstairs, he found him on the porch, phone to ear, voice low and urgent. Can't keep doing this, Lena. It's him. It was always him. Elias froze in shadow, heart plummeting. Lena? Who the hell was Lena? Wyatt hung up, raking hands through hair, oblivious. But the seed of doubt took root, thorny and insistent. Elias retreated upstairs, questions coiling like smoke, the night's warmth turning to ash. Dawn brought confrontation. Wyatt stirred eggs again, humming off key, but Elias's silence was a wall. Spit it out, Wyatt said finally, plating food with forced casualness. Who's Lena? Elias asked, voice flat as hammered tin. Wyatt stilled, fork midway. My sister. She's in Austin. Worried about me quitting everything to chase a ghost. Relief flooded, but suspicion lingered. A crack in the foundation. You said her name like it hurt. Wyatt's laugh was strained. Families complicate shit. Dad died last year, cancer like your mom. Left a mess. Lena's holding the fort, but she thinks I'm running again. Elias nodded, accepting, but the unease festered. They ate in quiet, the harbor bells tolling like warnings. Mid-morning, Marcus appeared at the workshop door, toolbox in hand, expression stormy. Need help with that chair? He offered, eyes on Wyatt standing nearby. Elias waved him in, grateful for the buffer. The three worked in tense tandem, Marcus's jokes falling flat, Wyatt's politeness edged. When a chisel slipped, nicking Elias's thumb, blood welled bright. Wyatt was there first, sucking the wound clean with instinctive tenderness, ignoring Marcus's sharp intake. Get a room, Marcus muttered, half joking, but the barb landed. Wyatt released Elias's hand, stepping back. Maybe we will. The air crackled. Marcus dropped his tools, facing Wyatt. You swoop in from nowhere, stir up his life, and think that's love? Elias deserves steady, not some Pact fantasy. Wyatt's fists clenched. And you think casual coffees make you that? He needs real, not placeholders. Elias intervened, pulling them apart. Enough, both of you. Marcus stormed out, door slamming like thunder. Wyatt paced, breath ragged. Sorry. Lost it. Elias cupped his face. He doesn't get it. No one does. But as Wyatt kissed his palm, Elias wondered if anyone truly did, including himself. The day soured, doubt blooming like mildew in damp wood. Evening found them at the bonfire Marcus had planned, town tradition, driftwood pyre on the beach drawing locals in wool coats and thermoses. Flames leaped high, faces gilded orange, laughter mingling with surf. Elias and Wyatt arrived together, hands linked defiantly, drawing stares that prickled like nettles. Marcus held court by the fire, guitar strumming folk tunes, but his eyes tracked them, hurt veiled as indifference. When he sang a ballad of lost loves, the lyrics cut deep, a mirror to their tangled hearts. Wyatt pulled Elias to dance, slow sway in sand, whispers against ear. "This is us, screw the rest." But as night deepened, a call came, Wyatt's phone buzzing insistent. He stepped away, voice dropping, "Lena? What's wrong?" Elias watched from afar, flames reflecting in his eyes, the Pact feeling suddenly fragile as sea glass. What secrets did Wyatt carry across those miles? And could Elias trust the man he dreamed of? Or was this just another beautiful fracture waiting to split? The fourth day cracked open with betrayal's bitter light, the kind that filters through storm clouds and reveals rot beneath the surface. Elias woke to an empty bed again, sheets cool where Wyatt should have been, the house echoing with absence. Downstairs, coffee sat cold on the counter, Wyatt's jacket gone from the hook. A note in his scrawled hand had to take a call. "Back soon. W." Simple words, but they twisted in Elias's gut like barbed wire, echoing the phone call from the beach, Lena's name a specter. He paced the kitchen, boots scuffing pine floors worn smooth by years of solitary tread. Haven Point hummed outside, seagulls scavenging, the distant putt of fishing boats. But inside, silence amplified his thoughts. Was this the pattern? Wyatt appearing like a squall, stirring depths, then vanishing when winds shifted? The Pact, once a lifeline, now felt like a noose, tightening with each unanswered question. By noon, impatience drove him out. He trudged the bluff path, wind lashing his face, seeking clarity in the sea's relentless churn. Memories assaulted. Ridge Valley's dusty roads, Wyatt's hand in his under starlit skies, the Pact's blood oath sealing promises they'd been too young to keep. But youth's fire had banked to embers. Elias was 35, scarred by losses. His mother's frail hand in his at the end, lovers who fled his intensity. Could he afford another heartbreak? His phone buzzed. "Marcus. Meet at the lighthouse? Need to clear air." Elias agreed, drawn by the need for unvarnished truth. The lighthouse loomed on the promontory, white tower striped red, beam sweeping like a judgmental eye. Marcus waited on the steps, thermos in hand, expression a mix of resolve and resignation. "Thanks for coming," Marcus said, pouring steaming cider. "Look, about yesterday I was an ass. Jealous, mostly. But Wyatt, he's got history with you I can't touch." Elias accepted the cup, warmth seeping through gloves. "It's not about choosing sides. You're good, Marcus. Steady. But him, he's the one I buried." Marcus nodded, eyes on the horizon. Buried things have a way of clawing up. Just don't lose yourself digging. They talked then, honest and unhurried. Marcus sharing his own scars, a coming out that shattered his family farm in a rustic county. Elias admitting the Pact's weight, how Wyatt's arrival had unearthed a grief he'd numbed with routine. No tears, but understanding bloomed, fragile as frost flowers on glass. "Friends?" Marcus asked finally, clasping his forearm. "Always," Elias replied, the word a release. He returned home to find Wyatt's truck in the drive, engine ticking cool. Inside, Wyatt sat at the table, head in hands, phone clutched like a grenade. He looked up, face ashen, dark circles under eyes. "Elias. God, I'm sorry." The apology hung, prelude to unraveling. Elias crossed arms, leaning against the doorframe. "Where were you? And don't say a call." Wyatt exhaled, gesturing to the chair opposite. "Sit, please." Elias did, tension coiling spine stiff. Wyatt's voice emerged halting, each word a confession dragged from depths. "Lena called again. His dad's estate. Wait, no, that's not. Shit. He raked fingers through hair, silver threads catching light. There's more. Back in California after Theo left, I spiraled. Met someone. Her name's Carla. We weren't serious, but she got pregnant. Twin girls, now 4. I didn't know till 2 years in. She tracked me down, said I had a right to know. The room tilted, Elias's breath seizing. Pregnant. Girls. A life Wyatt had built without him. Threads woven in secret. You have kids, he stated, voice hollow as driftwood. Wyatt nodded, misery etching deeper lines. I do. See them weekends, holidays. Carla's good, remarried now to a teacher in Monterey. They know me as Uncle Wyatt mostly, but when I found the knife, decided to come here. I didn't tell her, just left like a coward. Last night she called furious, said the girls asked why I vanished. Accused me of running from responsibility again. Elias's mind reeled, images flashing. Wyatt with toddlers on his shoulders, laughing in sun-drenched parks. Bedtime stories read in a voice Elias knew intimately. Betrayal wasn't the word, too sharp, too final. It was displacement, the ground shifting under feet he'd just planted. The pact, he whispered. Did it mean nothing? You come here, kiss me, make me believe. And all along, a whole world waiting back west. Wyatt reached across, but Elias recoiled. It meant everything. That's why I came. To finally choose us over fear. But the girls, they're innocent in this. I can't abandon them. And me? Am I the fling? The nostalgic detour before you drive back to daddy duty? Elias's voice rose, cracking on the last word, pain lancing deep. No, Wyatt pleaded, eyes glistening. You're the reason I breathe, Elias. Always were. But life's not clean lines. It's messy, like your woodwork. Knots and splits you sand around. Elias stood, chair scraping harsh. Sand around? You dropped a bomb, Wyatt. Kids. A life you hid. He stormed to the window, staring at the harbor where boats strained at moorings, mirroring his turmoil. Rain spat against panes, a fresh squall brewing. Wyatt rose, approaching slow as one might a wounded animal. I should have told you day one. Feared it'd scare you off. But I'm not hiding anymore. Come with me, meet them. See, it's not instead of you, but with. The offer dangled, tempting and terrifying. Elias imagined it. California sprawl, girls with Wyatt's eyes tugging his sleeves, Carla's wary gaze. But Haven Point pulled too. The workshop's half-finished dreams. Marcus's tentative friendship. The sea's constant whisper. I need time, he said finally, turning. Alone. Wyatt's face crumpled, but he nodded. I'll stay at the motel down harbor. Call when you're ready. He left then, door clicking soft as a sigh, truck fading into fog. Elias sank to the floor, back to wall, sobs racking silent. The house, once alive with their presence, echoed empty, Pact's promise tarnished. Hours blurred. Workshop refuge, chisel biting wood viciously, shavings flying like accusations. By dusk, Marcus texted, beer at O'Malley's? Elias went, craving distraction. The pub thrummed, locals bent over darts, jukebox crooning Springsteen. Marcus waved from the bar, 2 stools saved. They drank in solidarity, amber liquid burning paths to numbness. Marcus listened as Elias spilled, Wyatt's secret, the gut punch of it, without judgment, offering nods and refills. Sounds like he loves you, Marcus said over foam. But love without truth? That's just pretty lies. Elias clinked glasses. Yeah, and I'm tired of those. Night deepened. Shots chasing pints. Laughter hollow but healing. When closing time came, Marcus walked him home, arms slung companionable. At the door, Elias hugged him fierce. Thanks, man. Anytime. Marcus's eyes held warmth. A door cracked open if needed. Alone again, Elias climbed to the widow's walk, wind keening through rails. Stars pierced clouds, indifferent witnesses. He thought of the girls. Tiny hands, innocent questions, and Wyatt's torn heart. Betrayal stung, but beneath pulsed empathy, the human tangle. Sleep evaded, dreams feverish. Wyatt fading into waves, Pact's blood washing away. Morning brought resolve. He drove to the motel, heart hammering like a mallet on oak. Wyatt answered shirtless, hair wild, hope flickering in eyes. "Elias." "We talk," Elias said, stepping in. "All of it. No more shadows." They sat on the sagging bed, coffee bitter between them. Wyatt laid bare. The panic of Carla's call, joy of first seeing the twins, guilt of divided loyalties. "I want you in it," he insisted. "All of it. But if that's too much." "It is," Elias interrupted gently. "For now. I need to know who I am without the dream. Without you filling the gaps." Wyatt's nod was pained acceptance. "Fair. I'll head back tomorrow. Give you space." The goodbye kiss was tender, laced with sorrow. A bridge burned but not beyond repair. As Wyatt drove away, taillights vanishing into mist, Elias felt unmoored, adrift in Haven Point's embrace. Betrayal had cracked him open, but in the fracture, light seeped. Strength, self, the quiet power of choosing solitude over illusion. Days stretched, workshop a sanctuary where he finished the rocker, curves flowing true. Marcus became anchor, coffees evolving to dinners, touches tentative but real. No pact, just presence. Yet nights, Elias dreamed of Wyatt, the sea calling them both. Then, 2 weeks on, a package arrived. The pocketknife, wrapped in yellowed comic pages. Note inside, "Keep your half of the pact. I'll wait, W." Blood rushed hot, tears blurring ink. Not end, but pause, a breath to rebuild. Elias pocketed it, stepping into sun. Haven Point bloomed defiant, and so did he. The 5th day after Wyatt's departure marked the fracture's deepening, a chasm where doubt festered into resolve, propelling Elias toward the storm's eye. Haven Point wore autumn's first blush, maples along the harbor road igniting crimson, leaves skittering like frantic thoughts underfoot. Elias woke with the knife's weight in his pocket, its edge a talisman against the void Wyatt left. Bed too vast, kitchen echoes mocking solitary meals. He'd thrown himself into work, the rocking chair now complete, delivered to the cafe where Marcus accepted it with a grin and a lingering hug. "Looks like it could hold the world," Marcus said, fingers brushing Elias's. "It might," Elias replied, the words carrying double meaning, eyes on the sea beyond. But routine chafed, a ill-fitting coat. Marcus sensed it, their evenings at the pub or bluff walks laced with his gentle probes. "You hear from him?" Elias evaded, the knife's promise a private ache. Nights brought fever dreams. Wyatt's face dissolving into twins' laughter, Pact's blood turning to ink on unsent letters. He woke sweating, heart pounding, the lighthouse beam invading his window like interrogation. By week's end, restlessness peaked. Elias found the old photo album in the attic, dust motes dancing as he flipped pages. Boston childhoods, Ridge Valley summers, Wyatt's grin frozen in faded color. One snapshot stopped him. Them under the pecan tree, thumbs bandaged, eyes alight with conspiracy. "Forever." The scrawl beneath read, Elias's boyish hand. He traced it, finger lingering on Wyatt's scar, and knew, running from truth was the real betrayal. He called Lena, number gleaned from a frantic online search of Hale family obits. Wyatt's dad, gone too soon. She answered wary, Texas twang sharp. "Thorne? Elias?" "Wyatt's Elias," he said, voice steady despite quake. "Need to see him. The girls too." Silence stretched, then softened. "He's a mess, hon. Moping like a kicked dog. Come if you mean it." California called. A red-eye flight booked on impulse. Haven Point shrinking below as plane climbed into night. Marcus saw him off at the airport, 2 hours north in Portland, grip firm on his shoulder. Go get your complicated. I'll hold the fort. The flight was torment. Turbulence mirroring innards. Wyatt's texts unread. Miss you. Girls drew pictures. Landing in Monterey. Salt air hit like memory. Waves crashing familiar. Rental car hugged Highway 1. Cliffs plummeting to Pacific. Heart accelerating with each mile. Carla's house sat on a bluff in Carmel. Clabbered craftsman with toys-strewn porch. Wind chimes tinkling welcome. She answered the door, mid-30s. Sun-streaked hair in a ponytail. Appraising eyes the color of driftwood. Elias, she said, no question, stepping aside. He's out back with the girls. The yard sloped to a fence overlooking surf. Wyatt kneeling in sand, braiding wildflowers into crowns for 2 miniatures. Dark curls, olive skin, giggles peeling like bells. Sophia and Luna, Lena had said. For fierce Wyatt's echoes. He looked up as Elias approached, face transforming. Shock to joy to fear in blinks. Elias. Wyatt rose slow, dusting knees, voice cracking. What? Needed to see this, Elias said, gesturing encompassing. All of it. The girls toddled over, curious imps. Who dat? Sophia demanded, tugging Wyatt's jeans. Wyatt knelt, introducing soft. This is Elias, my best friend from long ago. Luna tilted head, flower crown askew. You like boats? Elias crouched, world narrowing to her gravity. Love him. Your dad's the best captain I know. They dragged him to their play fort, a driftwood lean-to, chattering of mermaids and treasures. Wyatt watched, arms crossed, expression a storm of hope and hurt. Carla hovered distant, giving space, her nod from the kitchen window a tentative truce. Lunch was chaos. Peanut butter sandwiches on picnic blankets, girls smearing jelly, Wyatt wiping chins with sleeves, Elias drawn in despite himself, laughing at Luna's pirate accent, braiding Sophia's hair with clumsy fingers. Wyatt's touches were subtle, knee against knee, hand on back, electric, rekindling. Post-nap, girls down, Carla joined them on the deck, coffee steaming. He's been pacing holes in the rug, she told Elias direct. Told me about you, Pact tree all. Thought he was crazy at first. But seeing him now, she shrugged, gaze softening. You ground him. Elias met her eyes, honesty bridging. And the girls? This life. Part of him. Us co-parent fine. My husband's great, no drama. But Wyatt, he needs more than weekends. Wyatt shifted, voice low. I want you in it, Elias. If you'll have this mess. The afternoon waned in swells. Beach walk, girls splashing shallows, Wyatt and Elias trailing, shoulders brushing. Waves tugged ankles, cold and invigorating. Scared? Wyatt asked, voice wave soft. Terrified, Elias admitted. But the pact, it was about freedom, not perfection. They kissed then, salt-lipped, girls shrieking delight at the big wave. Oblivious to import. Sunset painted sky fire, family silhouette against it, unconventional, whole. Night brought hotel solitude, but Elias drove back unbidden, knocking soft. Carla let him in, girls abed, Wyatt in the kitchen nursing beer. Stay? Wyatt whispered, leading to guest room, bodies colliding in quiet urgency. Hands mapping familiar paths, gasps muffled in pillows. Love you, Wyatt breathed, post-climax haze. Always. Love you too, Elias echoed, truth settling like ballast. Dawn brought decision. Over breakfast, pancakes for the girls, who dubbed Elias Uncle Eli. He laid it out. I need to go back. Tie loose ends in Haven Point. Workshop, friends. Then, we build. You visit, I visit, until it fits. Wyatt's nod was resolute, eyes shining. Road trips with these two terrors? You're braver than I thought. Carla hugged him goodbye, fierce. Don't break him. The flight home was buoyant, knife in pocket humming approval. Haven Point greeted gray but golden. Marcus at the cafe, pie slice waiting. Well? He asked, brow arched. Elias smiled, real and rare. Complicated just got clearer. Weeks blurred into rhythm. Wyatt's calls nightly, girls' voices piping through speaker. Uncle Eli, draw a boat. Video chats of beach days, Elias sharing workshop progress. He sanded doubts smooth, confiding in Marcus, who became confidant, not competitor. Proud of you, Marcus said one night over whiskey. Chasing your pact. Thanksgiving loomed, Elias flying west again. This time with a carved toy boat for the girls. Wyatt's arms waiting at arrivals. The holiday was patchwork. Carla's table groaning turkey. Husband's jokes easing edges. Twins crowning Elias with paper leaves. Night, in Wyatt's small apartment overlooking bay, they talked future. Joint custody summers, Elias's carpentry blending with Wyatt's charter business. A life, Wyatt murmured, fingers laced. Hours. But cracks lingered. December brought Lena's call. Estate finalized, but a letter from Wyatt's dad surfacing. Yellowed pages decrying his ways. Disowning in death. Wyatt crumbled reading it, Elias holding through sobs. He never knew the girls, Wyatt choked. Or you. Then we live louder, Elias vowed, Pact's fire reigniting. Christmas in Haven Point tested. Wyatt arriving with twins bundled like elves, town stairs melting to smiles at their wonder. First snowman, lighthouse awe. Marcus hosted tree trimming, guitar carols, his gift to Elias a leather-bound journal. For new stories. New Year's Eve, bluff bonfire. Wyatt pulled Elias aside, snowflakes veiling. Marry me? Not legal then, but Pact plus. Forever. Elias's yes was whisper and vow. Kiss sealing under fireworks burst. But climax brewed unseen. January gale, Wyatt's charter boat caught in squall off Big Sur. Radio silence, Coast Guard scramble. Elias flying frantic, Haven Point prayers in his wake. Hours blurred agony. Marcus driving him to the dock, Carla's texts desperate. He's tough. Girls need him. Rescue came dawn. Wyatt hauled aboard, hypothermic but alive. Scar reopened from gash. Hospital reunion, Elias bursting in, Wyatt foredripped, grinning weak. Told you. Waves carry you. Relief shattered Elias, tears streaming. Don't scare me like that. Promise, Wyatt rasped, hand in his. Recovery wove tighter. Elias staying weeks, helping with girls, mending Wyatt's boat. Carla's husband joked of adoption papers. Bonds formed familial. Spring bloomed reconciliation. Elias sold the workshop, relocating hybrid months California, summers Maine. The pact evolved, not boy's oath, but men's covenant, embracing all love, family, flaws. One evening, under Carmel Oak's echoing Ridge Valley's tree, Wyatt carved initials anew with the knife, girls watching wide-eyed. What's it mean, Daddy? Means we choose each other, Wyatt said, eyes on Elias. Every day. Elias added his mark, blood unnecessary, trust sufficed. Freedom tasted of salt and earth, identity rooted deep. The sixth season unfurled in Haven Point like a long-held breath released, summer's gold threading through the warp of their rebuilt lives. Elias's house, once a solitary shell, now pulsed with echoes. The twins' shrieks chasing fireflies across the lawn. Wyatt's low chuckle blending with sea roar. Marcus's guitar strumming from the porch swing where he courted a new barista with shy smiles. Relocation had been seismic, Elias splitting time. Workshop franchise to a Portland apprentice. California months anchored in Wyatt's Bayside rental expanded for them all. It wasn't seamless. Logistics chafed like ill-fitted dovetails. Carla's schedules clashing with Maine tides. Girls' tears at goodbyes tugging heartstrings taut. But in the friction, polish emerged. Love refined, not fractured. Wyatt healed slow from the gale's grip, scars layering old over new. The brow slash deepened, a rib knit crooked, reminding in aches when fog rolled thick. Elias learned its language, hands kneading knots by lamplight, Whispers tracing ink of tattoos faded slightly under Maine's pallid sun. "You're my compass?" Wyatt murmured one dusk, body lax under touch. Pacific's wildness tamed in this quiet harbor. "And you're the storm worth weathering," Elias replied, lips to pulse, Pact's embers banked to steady flame. The girls wove in gradual, fierce as vines. Sophia's bossy blueprints for sandcastles, Luna's quiet sketches of boats with Uncle Eli at helm. They called Haven Point Snow Home, California Sunny, shuttling suitcases stuffed with shells and maple candies. Carla's husband, Tom, became Uncle T, his engineering mind-plotting family road trips. Ridge Valley pilgrimages promised. The pecan tree a holy site. Lena visited once, Texas drawl warming over lobster rolls. Her hug to Elias fierce. "You saved him, sugar." From himself. Betrayal's shadow lingered faint. A varnish crack Elias sanded deliberate. Trust rebuilt plank by plank. Wyatt's full disclosure, phone logs shared, visits to ex-lovers' graves. Theo's, lost to overdose, a chapter closed with flowers. Elias confronted his own ghosts, driving solo to Boston, visiting Dad's nursing home where faded eyes sparked at the boy from Texas. "Heard you found your way," Dad wheezed, hand frail in his. Forgiveness flowed one way, but enough release, not absolution. Marcus evolved ally to brother, his romance with the barista, Jenna, sharp-witted with ink-sleeved arms, blossoming parallel. Group hikes up coastal trails, bonfires where stories swapped like kindling. Wyatt's sea yarns, Elias's with lore, Jenna's city escapes. "You're all misfits," Marcus teased one night, sparks ascending. Perfect fit. Town embraced gradual, Haven Point's insularity yielding to curiosity. Old salts at O'Malley's nodded at Wyatt's yarns. Mrs. Harlow baking extra pies for the little ones. Pride Month brought rainbow flags fluttering from masts, Elias and Wyatt walking hand in hand, girls waving streamers. No stares, just cheers. Freedom tasted incremental, hard-won. Crisis crested autumnal, a echo of gales past. Elias's workshop edition. Annex for Wyatt's boat repairs neared completion, but a nor'easter barreled in, winds howling banshee. Power snapped, house plunging dark, twins huddled wide-eyed under quilts. Wyatt lit lanterns, stories of calm captains soothing, but Elias paced, anxiety's rasp familiar from that California vigil. Midnight, roof groaned ominous, a shingle torn free, leak springing bedroom ceiling. Wyatt climbed ladder in howling dark, tarping desperate, Elias belaying rope, heart in throat. Lightning cracked, illuminating his silhouette against fury. Bold, unbreakable. "Got it?" Wyatt yelled over gale, descending soaked but triumphant. Inside, drying by hearth, girls asleep curled. Elias pulled him close. "My hero," he whispered, "kiss salt and rain." Wyatt's grin flashed. "Your partner. Team." Climax resolved not in shatter, but forge. Storm passed, damage mended communal. Townsfolk hauling timber, Marcus wielding hammer, Carla video calling encouragement. Rebuild bonded deeper, Annex rising resilient, symbol of their mended pact. Winter solstice brought ceremony. Under strung lights on the widow's walk, snow veiling gentle, family gathered. Carla and Tom via screen, Lena in armchair, Marcus and Jenna toasting mulled wine. Girls in flannel finery clutching posies. Wyatt, in wool coat over tea, knelt with the knife, clean now, polished. "Elias Thorne," he began, voice steady as keel. "From that tree in Ridge Valley to every wave between, you've been my north. Marry me. Make this madness official." Elias's throat tightened, knife's hilt cool in palm. "Wyatt Hale, you crashed my door and my heart. Yes, to the pact, the chaos, the love." Rings exchanged, simple bands engraved, "Hale Thorne forever." Sealed with kiss, cheers erupting, girls pelting petals. No priest, just promise. Human, heartfelt. Years blurred montage, Girls starting school. Sophia's soccer triumphs. Luna's violin strains haunting Maine eaves. Elias's craft expanded. Custom boats blending his joinery with Wyatt's seamanship. Commissions from Seattle galleries. Wyatt captain charters inclusive. Pride sails for queer youth. Pact's spirit outward. Visits to Ridge Valley healed. Tree felled by lightning. But stump carved plaque. Here, two boys dream true. Marcus wed Jenna under lighthouse beam. Elias best man. Wyatt wrangling flower girls. Carla's family swelled. A boy born, named Elias in honor. Aging crept graceful. Wyatt's hair silvered full. Elias's hands veined from tools, but touches kindled same fire. Nights bodies familiar as tide. Daughters dated, confided crushes. Elias and Wyatt guiding gentle. Love's your truth, no apologies. Elder years found them in Haven Point year-round. Workshop shuttered but legacy in rocking chairs dotting porches. Grandkids tumbled lawns. Pact retold fireside. Grandpa's secret? Chose heart over fear. One frost-kissed dawn. Elias woke to Wyatt's breath shallow. Hand limp in his. Hey! Wyatt whispered. Eyes cloudy but clear-sighted. Best life. Elias kissed brow. Tears silent. Ours. Wyatt slipped quiet. Sea calling home. Grief hollowed, but Elias filled with grace. Visiting graveside. Knife buried beside. Pact complete. Alone? No. Echoes abounded. Girls' calls. Grandkids' hugs. Marcus's visits with tales. Haven Point's cliffs stood sentinel. Lighthouse beaming eternal. Elias carved one last piece. A cradle for the newest grand. Wood yielding smooth, heart full. Betrayal's scar faded, supplanted by compassion's weave. For self, for love's lost and found. For identities claimed unashamed. In twilight, bluff perch, he whispered to wind. Forever. The sea answered, waves applauding soft.